TGIF, it's Friday, February 6, 2026. When tragedy strikes, Wyoming knows to contact Grant Lawson and the law firm for truck safety, fierce advocates for justice and fighting for safer roads around the USA. Visit truckaccidents.com and see how Grant and his team can make the difference. Yes, springtime in the Rockies. Might as well bring out the song, as it's going to continue to be that way here through the weekend. But as we've been discussing, changes are afoot as we get on into next week. This western ridge is kind of reaching its peak today and into tomorrow. Then it slowly flattens out, and we're going to see it get eaten away and gone by early next week. It's a very disorganized pattern that's coming in. It's not a cohesive low-pressure system. Rather, what we're going to see is a Pacific cold front settle in out of Western Canada, the Pacific Northwest, early next week. That'll send some colder air along both sides of the Continental Divide while Pacific air interacts with that. But it's not going to be a four corners low or a really organized storm. So upslope conditions east of the Continental Divide, with a couple of exceptions, really won't get going. In the northern Rockies, central and northern Wyoming and Montana, South Dakota, you're going to get a little bit of upslope as you'll be into that deeper, colder air. Nonetheless, it's finally a change. It's finally the erasure of the current pattern that we've been in here for the last several weeks. We continue to see a very active long-term pattern. We haven't seen any changes in the models. We are going to have things get a little bit complicated. More moving parts get ejected into the equation, with a stratospheric warming event developing by next weekend in the northern hemisphere. And then that's going to coincide with a change in the Madden-Julian oscillation, with energy coming across the Pacific. So you really got to be careful with any forecast past 5 days. So we're really not going to show you much more than past that. But the bottom line is we still expect this weather pattern change. Things are going to be different. Whether or not that equates to a lot of snow in your backyard or not, we're just going to have to kind of take it one system at a time. We also have an ENSO update for you, what's going on in those subtropics with La Nina and El Nino. A lot of high clouds, a lot of high cirrostratus clouds, as you can see here underneath this high pressure ridge. This high pressure ridge, as we discussed earlier in the week, extremely robust and extremely strong. So you tend to get, well, basically fair weather, high level cirrus clouds, cirrostratus clouds, displaying cirrus clouds like this. And also, here's a really good example of what happens in the atmosphere when you have sinking motions under a strong high pressure ridge. So here's a photo of a lot of contrails that, these contrails look different. What's going on? Well, the reason the contrails are fanning out and spreading out like this is the high pressure ridge is so strong that the mean motion of the atmosphere from high above us to the ground is sinking. So as the contrail is made, the air is sinking and spreading it out. Also, winds aloft are extremely weak under big high pressure systems like this. So the contrails will behave differently and get spread out like that. You'll likely see that again today in many areas. And boy, you can see the ridge when you take a look at the lack of cloudiness underneath the high pressure ridge, and you can actually tell where the Arctic air and the colder weather continues to be into the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes. They've got another very cold weekend for the Great Lakes in the northeastern parts of the United States, with more cold and more snow. And you can see it looks the same, doesn't it? Every morning it looks the same. We got storminess out here, a big ridge here. Everything's just kind of in a log jam. So this is where we're going to be today. Notice the axis of the high pressure ridge is shifting a bit. It's more to the east. So we're going to start to see it reaching its peak strength today. We got this upper level low in California that'll produce a few showers in the southwest United States this weekend. But all of the action, all the winter weather continues to be where it's been. The Great Lakes, New England, down into the mid-Atlantic will continue to shiver for the third weekend in a row of much below average temperatures there. By Monday, things really flatten out, don't they? You can see the changes in the higher northern latitudes, and this is going to lead to this flow of air coming on into the Pacific coast. This is through Monday, so this is by Monday. We've got a little wave coming into Washington, Oregon, and Idaho, and western Montana. We've got other waves back here. Westerly flow will bring moderating temperatures to the central and eastern areas of the United States, relief for them. And what we're going to see is basically a slow push of colder North Pacific air into the northern Rockies, western Canada, and the Pacific Northwest by Monday night into Tuesday. That'll continue to settle further south. So what ends up happening is we have this disorganized system. We'll have colder air come down along and east of the divide here. Some of it gets west of the divide as well. And we've got a low here off the west coast that'll feed Pacific moisture into the equation. So basically what we have is a little bit of what we call an overrunning situation. Colder air from the Pacific leaks in. More moist, warmer Pacific air goes up, over, and around it. And that's going to cause a little bit of wintry weather settling in slowly. So the Pacific Northwest by Sunday afternoon, west of the Cascades getting wet, some showers east of the Cascades finally making it. These showers here associated with that low that's sitting off the coast of California, that upper level low right there. And you can see the severe clear elsewhere through Sunday. So through Super Bowl Sunday, nothing going on weather-wise. Certainly nothing going on here. That's going to be a problem for the game on Sunday as the bad weather stays off to the north. Now, the second push, the overrunning, the merger of the moist air from the Pacific coming from the southwest, the colder air that's leaking down in from the Pacific Northwest and the North Pacific, you're going to get this axis of moisture right here that's going to be a little bit more robust. So from the central Sierras across Nevada into the northern Wasatch into the Uintas here, yay, finally a little bit of snow. Nothing to write home about, but we're going to finally get some snow back into these areas here. And we saw this yesterday, a little bit of a tendency for moisture to get east of the Continental Divide. Now keep in mind, this area I just highlighted could end up a little more south. It could end up a little bit more north, but there's going to be the overrunning of colder air on the surface with the Pacific moisture coming up over and on top of it. So finally, there's going to be some weather. Finally, there's going to be a little bit of snow moving to the central and northern Rockies. This takes us through Thursday morning. Now, beyond Thursday morning, a week from this Saturday into Valentine's Day weekend, the models are having a hard time. Having a hard time with a potential wave coming through next weekend. Some models actually bring a little bit of front range snow Valentine's weekend with this wave moving through. Some of them don't even have the wave. And this is part and parcel to the disorganization of the low pressure systems here that are off the west coast. But we continue to see the development of this high. Notice this high is forecasted to be where all the low pressure is right now. So things shift around a little bit. What we're likely going to see as we go into next weekend, into next week, is a very broad trough over all of the western United States with low pressure systems moving through. But the devil will be in the details. These Pacific systems will be really good at making it snow in the high country, really across all of the Intermountain West. The question is will one of these lows be able to get some upslope going east of the divide? And certainly much colder air is going to get into the system, especially early to the middle parts of the following week. A quick update with La Nina and El Nino. Well, La Nina continues to be gone. There's one little cool patch of water left in the western areas. You see the blue here, but notice we now have red off the coast of South America. So we're not technically in a La Nina anymore, and you can really see the sea surface temperature change in a week has really warming up here. So it's going, and it's gone, and this is good news. With the removal of La Nina, and as you'll see in a minute, sea surface temperature anomalies really warming up in the Pacific. The timing is good because when you see the sea surface temperature anomaly reverse and get warmer heading into spring, especially when we get into March, April, and May, that's a good signal for moisture, at least for the western half, southern and southwest areas of the United States in particular. You tend to get more robust storms in March and April if those sea surface temperature anomalies are changing during that time frame. and the new European monthlies really show. Look at this big increase in sea surface temperature anomalies. That first graphic there is February. This goes all the way through August. So without a doubt, it's looking more and more likely by late summer into early fall, we may be in an El Nino phase, at least a weak start of it. But the whole Pacific basin near the tropics gets warmer instead of colder. It's overall been colder for better than a year, but now getting warmer. So we'll see what impacts that has, along with the Madden-Julian Oscillation, another stratospheric warming event, a lot to keep track of. So there's finally something to talk about, but we've got to wait a few more days. Have yourself a good weekend. We will see you on Monday.